Hey, great to have you back on board, and I hope you'll take a moment to like and subscribe to my channel. You know, they say opportunity only knocks once, and when this chance came up, I jumped on it. My friend Holly is the partner for Ron, who's the owner of this Hunter 460 named Aileron, and he's a retired 747 pilot, so go figure. Holly informed me they'd be in Juneau in a couple of weeks and would let me know when their boat arrived, so after getting her text, I went to meet them in one of our harbors, and Ron and I hit it off right away. After several days here, they left, but I heard back from Holly the next year in 2022, and she said Ron was looking for crew to help deliver the boat from Astoria, Oregon to San Francisco, California. Well, and since I was retired, I jumped at that chance. Ron had also invited a couple he knew from Seattle to crew, including Emily, a flight engineer, and her husband, who's also a pilot. So the die was cast, the course was set, and the crew was selected. All we had to do was, simply cross the world's most notorious river bar, the Columbia River Bar, and we'd be out into the wild Pacific, sailing along Oregon's rugged coast, beautiful Northern California, and then under the Golden Gate Bridge and into waters that have hosted the America's Cup. I was stoked. My date of departure from Juneau had arrived. I landed in Seattle for a short stopover to catch my flight to Portland. Along the way, we flew past two old friends, Mount St. Helens and Mount Adams. I did a semi-technical climb of these two peaks when I lived in the area for a couple of years, around 1989 as I recall. Union Station in Portland. Well, it had been a long day, so after getting our gear on the boat and settled in, it was time for dinner. We drove through lovely downtown Astoria and finally found a cool-looking restaurant and had a bite to eat, compliments of our captain. Today is July 19th, 2022, my 62nd birthday, but more on that later. Introductions are in order, so let me introduce you to Aileron, a Hunter 460 sailboat. Her length on average is 46 feet, her waterline length is 39 feet, and her beam, 14 feet. Displacement is just over 26,000 pounds with 9,000 pounds of ballast and a 6-foot 5-inch draft. These 460s have a special shallow stern section that allows them to get on top of a following sea quickly without much wetted surface area and feature a B&R rig with no backstay. Inside she has 2 aft staterooms with a wet head and forward a large master stateroom with a separate head and shower. Headroom is excellent, and these boats, while lightly built, are quick and make excellent coastal sailboats. But then reality sets in, like a clogged heat exchanger. Captain Ron had noticed on his trip down from Seattle that the temperature was running a bit warm, so we pulled the heat exchanger core and found it's mostly clogged, probably original to the boat. He ordered a replacement, which took a day or two to arrive, only to find out that it was a millimeter too small, so he made a bunch of calls, got the right info, ordered another one that took an additional day to arrive, so we basically spent about 3 days just working on the boat, getting gear packed away to make her seaworthy. But wait a doggone minute. It's still my birthday, so what are we going to do? Find a cute little pub in an out-of-the-way location in downtown Astoria. Buy a few platefuls of some very good fish and chips. And listen to Captain Ron tell us, "Don't worry, be happy now, man." So this boat used to be owned by director Francis Ford Coppola. I just talked to the current owner. He gave me the brief history of the boat. She has 5 watertight bulkheads and a steel hull. Punch a hole in one area, you shut the doors, dog them down, and it'll keep the water out. I think he said it was built in the 1960s. Coppola owned it for about 20 years. Sold it in like 1980. I'll have the welded in steps to get up to the deck area here. Anyway, it's pretty impressive. Nice looking center cockpit. So today was the day we actually got the correct heat exchanger core installed, so no boring pictures of that. But we did walk down to a taco truck for lunch, saw this really cool 1964 AMC Rambler, and then had an excellent Italian dinner that evening. I promise you, tomorrow we sail the high seas. What happens when you mix ocean swells, up to 8 knots of river current, westerly winds in a channel that's only 2 miles wide and that goes from 600 feet to 43 feet in just 5 miles? You get the Columbia River Bar, known as the Graveyard of the Pacific. 2,000 ships have been lost here as well as 700 souls, so having the know-how to safely cross is very important. By and large, you want to check the Coast Guard alerts by looking for the blue signs with flashing amber lights located at boat ramps, but when the amber lights flash, hazardous conditions are present and a bar restriction is in place. Also monitor the AM radio channel at 1610 AM and listen for Coast Guard alerts on channel 16. There are also online resources to tell you if the bar is restricted or not, and I'll post those in the description below. Basically, you'll want to cross between the marked buoys on a high slack tide that's at or near the flood tide, because the flood tide will decrease the energy of the ocean swells and put more water depth at the bar, so that the energy of the incoming swells is reduced with deeper waves. If you have any questions, contact the Coast Guard or check the links below.
Columbia River Bar. Yeah, it looks like it calmed down a little bit outside last night. Call me a Silver Surfer.
A few moments later.
Actually, this was about 6 hours and 50 miles later. Our general goal was to sail when we could and to stay in about 600 feet of water to avoid the numerous crab pots that are generally in 300 to 400 feet of water on the continental shelf. Okay, 10:30 at night. I just got on watch half an hour ago, sitting at the helm. Here's an iPad showing our current location, our speed. We've been making majorly good time, doing 8.5 knots. The distance we traveled in 11 hours is 95 miles. To Coos Bay, it is 170 miles, so we're a little over halfway there. Then up in here you get into the chart plotter with radar, and the radar right now is set at 12 nautical miles. You can see the shore right there, and you can also see the radar confirming what the maps are saying. These maps are low quality maps, so hence the use of the iPad. A compass right here, and instrumentation right here. The temperature gauge on the right hand side is at 180 degrees. We worked for 2 full days to get the heat exchanger swapped out, and it seems to be running like a charm. So I'm on watch until 1 a.m. and then Emily will come on deck, and I'll give her a brief rundown and that sort of thing. So yeah, we're moving. If you've liked this video, do give it a big Captain Ron thumbs up. Subscribe and turn on the notifications. That's the end of part 1, but coming up in part 2, we'll tuck into Coos Bay until the weather improves, do a little bit of boat work, and then sail down the northern coast of California under the Golden Gate Bridge and into San Francisco Bay. Until then, my friends, sail fast and live slow.